Welcome back to the third part in this tutorial on how to make songs for Ultrastar. Before I start talking about how to set the pitches, which will be the focus for the last part, the third and last part of this tutorial, I'd just like to show you, if you don't know about it already, the software Ultrastar Manager, because as you can see here, a little bit gray and dull at the moment. So I would just like to show you how easy it is to add information or tags to the data file. So if we keep on using the Depeche Mode song here as an example, I'll just add, for instance, which year this song was released, and I will also add the cover, the image file that you can see at the beginning of the last part in the file explorer. So, and I'll So if you haven't tried Ultrastar Manager, I recommend it a lot because there are some nifty features here that I usually use. For instance, you can increase the BPM if it's needed and set the first timestamp to 0 and so on. So there's some nice features here that I think you should look into if you haven't used Ultrastar Manager before. Anyways, so now I've added the image file as cover, and here we've got it, and you can see it looks a little bit nicer than before, at least. So yeah. So the third part, we'll go through how I work my way through setting the pitches, or bloody pitches within quotation marks. Talking from experience and from what I've seen and heard, this is the most tricky part of the creation process, and hence the bloody pitches. Perhaps it's not that comforting if I say that I've created a couple of hundred songs through the years, and it has definitely become easier over time. So hang in there if you find it too tricky, or and I don't want to scare you off by saying bloody pitches if you haven't tried it at all yet. So um, and keep in mind that I think it was back in 2007 I created my first song. So it's been a good 14 years now since I did my first song. Anyways, in this video I will go through how I work my way through setting the pitches for a song. But before I show you how I'm working today, I would like to go back to my learning curve to show where I started off and how I got into where I am today. And the first couple of songs I created with the use of note sheets. I would say that this is not ideal, especially for songs where explicit pitch shifts take place and are not accounted for in the note sheets. I think note sheets in general have the focus upon what the vocalist has intended to sing, or what the singing melody is supposed to be, in a sense. I hope this makes sense to you, what I'm trying to get across here. Because in a way, the note sheets follow the logic I was talking about in the last part, where we focused on the sync, if you remember, or if you have watched the second part. But sometimes I think that mimicking the vocalist is not enough. So the note sheets may not be, in that sense, not authentic enough, if that makes any sense to you. But before we go to any hands-on action, I would like to mention the possibility of using MIDI files as a way of setting the pitches. Because if you use MIDI files, you don't have to find out which pitches are being used, and you can use the MIDI files for setting the pitches. I've never tried using a MIDI file myself for creating a song, but I know that some of you in the community do, which is all fine. But I think that at least in some cases, there might be they might be incumbent with the same drawbacks as note sheets when it comes to pitch shifts, in regard to the whole not being authentic enough that I was talking about in part 2. That is that I think that some, I guess at least, that some MIDI files don't take all the necessary pitch shifts into account, meaning that you have to at least set some pitches for yourself. And another thing that I've been thinking about as when it comes to MIDI files is that at least some of them, it seems, are not in exact sync with the MP3 that you may be working on, which might result in the wrong word getting the wrong pitch, especially for songs where the lyrics are sung at a high pace. But if the MIDI file is exact in regard to the timings, it's almost like the editing of your song that we talked about in the last part becomes even more important, because I've seen work done on MIDI files where the wrong words sometimes have gotten the wrong pitch from what it looked like due to imprecise sync. So uh, and where a whole line of the lyrics has looked like it's been offset by one pitch or one word, like you've had a, let's call it like a domino effect taking place pitch wise. I hope you get what I mean, because I won't go any further into that. But nevertheless, I think that minifiers, using minifiers is probably a very good alternative. Uh, But if possible, if you find all this a bit difficult, try to make sure that your MIDI files take into account what you gain from using MIDI files, both sync and pitch wise. So even though if you decide to use MIDI files or find it comfortable and you get sort of proficient using MIDI files, I think that still you have to keep these aspects of the sync and the exact timings of different words and syllables, and make sure that you don't end up with a line resulting in a domino effect where the wrong word gets the wrong pitch. Oh, never mind. I won't dwell on it. So yeah, and one other thing when talking about MIDI files, uh, I know that there are some sites online where you can buy MIDI files, and but I don't know which sites are good in respect to what I've just been talking about. Perhaps someone using MIDI files could drop a comment down below in the comments field. Um and I think there are also softwares that let you disentangle, if that's the right word. I'm not sure, but disentangle within quotations more than. But the software lets you disentangle the vocals from the rest of the song, so you can create your own MIDI file or so. Perhaps someone can write a comment about that as well, since I don't know that much about it. But what if you don't have any note sheets or MIDI files at your disposal? How are you going to find those pitches you're looking for? Well, I'm now going to show you uh, how I used to do back in the days, and a way that I'm still using, a method I'm still using sometimes when it's really tricky finding out what the pitches are. And that's I just opened a very old version here of Ultrastar Deluxe, and if I choose record here, you see that I got my microphone set up here, and if I talk, you see that my speech is registered here, and if I do some vocals like you can see that the letter C was showing here for that. So this is the way how I, for many years, worked my way through the songs, finding the pitches. So for instance, if we run the first line here of this Manchester Orchestra song, you can hear the instrument feature there. I let that one go, and then if we go, thunder inside my head, you can see that thunder, that the letter of F was showing. So then I'll move the whole line up to F here, and we'll put the instrument feature back on. You can hear, if at least if you uh, worked on this before and have put some practice hours in, you can hear that it's the correct pitch now for the first 5 words of this line, these. And if I move it up, you can hear that's wrong. Those are clearly wrong. So if I try anything but F, oh, okay, so we got F down as the correct pitch for the first 5 words, and then head, that's definitely not F, as you can hear. Head, head. Okay, so I have to move that up a couple of notches, like that. And that seems about right if you listen to it closely. And if we lower the speed, if you're not used to, it's clearly the correct pitch. But earlier we were talking about how to split pitches, or when to split words into different pitches more correctly. And if we run this at full speed again, this line here. Head. To me, it sounds like he's going up. Head. So I'm going to try this. If I run it at full speed, you can sort of hear it. Becomes more evident as you lower the speed. So this one, I'd say that you could go either way. Actually, when working on your song. But just for the sake of it, let's split it and do this. Split this into 2. Oh. As you can hear, it's not the same pitch. But the question is will it make the song more authentic looking, or will the experience get more enjoyable if I split this into 2 notes? I would say that it's distinct enough for me to split these into 2. And then that sounds about right to me. And perhaps I know that we're talking about setting the pitches here, but if you haven't got any other information than the song itself, I don't think there's not any other way around this for finding the pitches out than using the instrument feature in Jazz or in any other editor, or like this that we were talking about a minute ago, about thunder inside my head, where you can actually find some kind of evidence for which pitch is being sung. So, and if we go back to this here and we'll do it like that, and run this line again, but at the lower speed. If you had a hard time following what pitch was registered in Ultrastar Deluxe when we were running at full speed, it becomes, of course, much easier if you lower the speed and just sound inside head. But that's one way, at least, that helps you find the correct pitches. And that's how I did. Well, a lot of songs was created by me in this way. But since then, I hardly use the microphone and also Deluxe anymore, because I've done this so many times. I've spent so many hours creating songs that I most of the times just go by ear. When you're done working on a line like this one, that is, you know you get all the pitches right, and you also know that this line or a similar line with the same melody, same sequence of pitches will come later in the song. Then you may, in order to save time, edit the pitches manually in the data file. But before I open the data file, you can see that things are moving back and forth here. If I press Control B or press this little button up here, you get to see some digits here and different notes. And if I just go down here, you see that we've got the whole scale from C to C. It goes from 0 to 12. And the digits that you see here in the margin, they each correspond to a particular pitch. So for instance, we found out that the first couple of words here were sung in the pitch of F. So that's, you see the digit 5 there, and then if you go over here where we had F sharp and G sharp, you can see that it's the digit 6 and 8. So if I open up the data file, we'll find here in this column here, it says 5 for the first 5 words, or 4 words, but so 5, let's call it 5 words, and then we have 6 and 8. For the following lines, you see that it's a 0 all the way through, because that's the default numbers, that's the default pitch in Ultrastar creators, so that's why we got a 0 here. But just to show you how you can edit the data file manually, as you can see here, the third line is exactly the same as the first one. So if I edit it to look exactly the same, like this, and save, and I have to discard and go back out here, and then go back to the and save. Yeah. So now if I open this song in Yes again, and I go down to the third line, you can see that we got the same pitches here as we did in the first line. And if I play this one, sounds exactly the same. So, but so some of you may now ask the question, why doesn't it just copy and paste? Because we got that function here. You can see here where the copy and paste melody features. It's the regular Control C and Control V for copying and pasting. The reason why I didn't use that now is that because I don't usually do the copy and paste as a default maneuver, or what to call it, and that has got to do with the sync, and that at least I want to be exact with the timings. And older songs where computers haven't been used in post-production, where they also copy and paste in lines being sung, the sync may not be exactly the same, even though it's the same part being sung over and over again. In this case, I think it is the exact same when it comes to the sync, the timings, and so on. But I just wanted to show you how to edit manually first. And actually, we'll come back to this later on when I will do an example on copying and pasting later on in this song. And of course, if you really want to save time and you're working on newer songs where when the production is done with computers and they're looping the music and the singing and so on, of course you shouldn't work in the order that I've been working so far in this tutorial. Of course, you have to start by doing the tapping, but then you might not have to spend that much time on doing the sync and fine-tune everything sync-wise. Then it's better to work line for line, so you do the whole fandango line by line. So that, for instance, the other month here I worked on a Eurovision Song Contest song from the Swedish entry here the last time around, where I could copy and paste quite a lot. So I first did the sync. Let's say that I was working on the chorus. I first did the chorus the first time we came in the song. I spent quite some time on fixing the sync and the length of the words and so on, setting the pitches, and then I used that to copy and paste every time the same lines in the chorus came later in the song. And then so I didn't have to do that much actually with the sync then, because it was so well in line with what had been sung or what I had done in the first chorus, the first time the chorus comes up in the song. So from here on, I'm going to work on some lines in the song that I've chosen beforehand to sort of show and cover a variety of problems or questions you're likely to bump into when trying to set the pitches. As you can see, I've moved on to the second line here, and by default, the words are set at the pitch C. So if we listen to it, it doesn't sound any good. And now you can either open Ultrastar Deluxe like I did before and try to see if you can get a grasp of what pitch is being sung. And it, as I said before, it becomes even easier if you lower the speed. But there's also a you can see here that the box for enabled mic is ticked here. So since I've connected my microphones to the computer, you'll see now if I run this, if I play this line and I sing at the same time, you'll see that my singing will get registered on screen. Oh no, sorry, that didn't happen there. He's rolling. It's rolling. Okay. It's rolling. Looks to be up somewhere close to A or G sharp, perhaps. We'll have a look and see. Well, with the longest note seems to be up here somewhere. No, that's definitely not the right one. Yeah, roll. That's the correct one. And the first and last one I'm going to do by ear now, not paying that much attention to the green dots that was appearing on the screen while singing during playing this line. So if I let's see, seems to be the correct pitches for this line. Earlier when I was showing you the first line, I did do a pitch split here, and that was quite apparent, or it was quite distinct, evident that you should split that one. But here, if we listen without the instrument on, oh, sorry, if we go, it seems to be G sharp all the way through. But if I lower the speed here, you can hear at the beginning of this note, no. So when you lower the speed and listen to it, and if we also split this into two, so I'll show you like this. That's not the correct pitch. as you can hear, that it sounds like it's F. But if we run it at full speed again, to me, it doesn't sound like that the beginning of the sound is emphasized in a way that a pitch shift takes place. It's sort of like not deliberate pitch shift. And I think that the intention and what I hear when running at full speed is that this is not pitch shift. So I would argue that that this is not a pitch shift, or not such a pitch shift that you sort of enhance the singing experience if you split it into two different notes. I think this is a kind of example where you sort of get confused if you see it split. And I guess that Andy Hull himself would say that he's not doing a pitch shift at the beginning of the syllable of roll here. And this kind of arguments I put forward for myself and say, in order to end up on some conclusion where I decide on to split or not split. And this to me is, it's too short, it's too unintentional. I would say that I'm going to leave that out for here. But then again, that was the beginning of the word, of the syllable roll. At the end, before, if you and at low speed, probably because it's more apparent that he goes down. There's a pitch shift taking place at the end of the syllable before the ling part. And you could try and see if it makes sense, or if you feel comfortable with doing it like this. I run at full speed, see if this this could be one way of solving this, since there's definitely a pitch, an explicit pitch shift taking place, and an intentional, since he's moving from G sharp down to F for the second syllable, and that pitch shift starts to take place before the second syllable. So you could do it like this with a pitch shift here, or as I probably have done it historically when I'm been creating songs, is that instead of you leaving one blank, I'll leave two blanks, because I have if you're not sure that by splitting it like this, you will end up having this in between tilde that comes too early, because sometimes it's the pitch shift takes place in just a fraction of time, like for instance, what looked like at the beginning of this syllable, where I decided not to have a pitch shift. This one here is might be problematic, and I perhaps leave it like this, since then there's sort of room for error for the singer, and at least it's not becoming that unauthentic, if that's even a word. But just I'll leave it for now, and let's move to another example where it becomes even more trickier, because then it's more on that line, it's more apparent that we need to. Is this line? To me, at least, is it? Well, on this line, it's definitely a pitch shift taking place before the 4 here. Change. Okay, so let's split this one and see if... Remember what I said about sh sounds before, so that's what I'm trying to find out, where the word actually stops or ends. I think I'm going to go for that. Two different pitches. F sharp. Okay, so and at yeah, of the U here, it sort of exhales, and then very if he exhales, but it sounds like he's almost exhaled. It goes down, so it seems to be a pitch shift take place at the end of this word as well. Oh, that's a bit early. Let's check. Okay, so now we're done with that line. Let's go back to 14. He is by, he... I think it's using F sharp. No, G sharp. Probably F. Yeah, F. So, in the other example up here, I was not sure whether to put sort of like a transitional note or pitch here in between the roll and the ling, or at least that was trying to convey whether to have one transitional pitch with a tilde sign, or just leave two blanks or even one blank in between the two syllables. Before we move on, I would just like to go back and have another look on the two lines I just been working on, because I realized after I upped the first version of the video that the pitches on a couple of words had been incorrect, and sometimes I have this problem that I'm having a hard time pinpointing the first couple of pitches on a line, and that was what happened here. So it shouldn't be an F at the start here. If I go down to D sharp, that should be the correct pitch. And if I head down to line 14, it sounds sort of okay, but it's not completely okay, because if we lower it to D sharp and C sharp, it will sound like this, which sounds quite a bit better. So I'm pretty sure that these are the correct pitches for the he and is. And now we can move on to the next couple of examples. When talking about transitional pitches, I just wanted to show you this as this is a better example of when to use transitional pitches. And this is a song I worked on last year by Active Child. So let's listen to this line. So you have distinct pitch shifts all the way here. If we listen to it again, I'll put on the tick down. all the words or all parts of this line seems to have sort of distinct pitch shifts, except for this one. It's more like a seamless transition from B down to flat sharp. So let's focus on this one, on this line, this word, sorry. If I treated this one as just like a normal pitch shift like this, you hear at the end of this note, he starts to go down. So if I would keep, if I would have it like this, like 2 and then down, straight down to F sharp, the one who's singing the song will lose point because this is not correct, obviously. Oh. So you could either, if you don't want the singer to lose points because due to your work being incorrect, since this would be incorrect, of course, since it's the wrong pitch here at the end of the 2. You could either perhaps leave like a blank like this, but that's not perhaps not that much fun, since it doesn't look authentic. He's not taking it within quotations mark gigantic pause here in between B and F sharp. So if let's take these next. Here I decided to go on 2 transitional pitches from where we go from B to F sharp. And these are not always that easy to pinpoint. Not sync-wise. It can take some time to find the exact timings for these transition notes and which pitch to set them at. So but this is what I came up with, and it's not out of tune. If you listen to it, it sounds correct to me, at least. Run at full speed. So let's go back to the Manchester Orchestra song and do some more examples on that song. Before we move on, I would just like to show you another quick example on transition, when a transition takes place, and I think this line is really well suited for this. It's even better than the active child example. In this soul song, you can see here, if we focus on the last word of this line, I'm going to split the line into 2 and just focus on this word heading. If we listen to it full speed, you can hear they're going up towards the end of the second syllable. So if before I started working on this song, Bluster, I wasn't sure whether I would have the energy and time to do this song, just because of this, because I knew beforehand that this will take time. It will be difficult to find the exact the timings for the sync here, and then also what pitches to use during this transitional phase, or what you call it, going from D to G sharp. But this is what I came up with, and I think it works quite well. Of course, you can always tweak this a little bit, making the notes wider, longer, or shorter, depending on. But it's a tricky situation when you have to sort of weigh in how much time and effort are you willing to put into it, and what will be the end result. Will it be good enough? I think that for me this was good enough, but it took quite some time to get here. But I'm quite satisfied with how it worked out when singing the song. Here's a line where the last word, you can hear that Andy Hull is he's singing, he's doing a couple of pitch shifts. If we lower the speed, he seems to be doing. He seems to be at least singing 4 pitches on the word how. But let's start doing the words that come before the how and see if we can work out which pitches to have to use. Yeah, I'm awake. I thought we'd leave it for that. Wake is correct, so yeah. Is a bit higher. Oh, there we go. And I, is that the same pitch as wake, perhaps? Yeah. Don't, and I don't. Don't. How. How. So let's split this line and just work with this word how and see if we can make out how to split it up into different pitches. I'll lower the speed to half the speed. So here, somewhere here comes the first pitch shift. Let's see if I put the tick sound on. The ticking. Okay, I'm going to try it like this for the first. Oh. You hear, oh. So 2 pitch shifts, that is 3 pitches, are being sung in this part here, where we now got 1 tilde. I'm going to try it like this, if this will do. Yeah. So, and then this is longer than the other ones before, the two pitches before. Oh, it's not F. Sounds like an E. And then it goes down, like in the example I did some minutes ago, when I call it exhaling. I'm not sure if that was correct, but let's see. F sharp first, and then it goes up. Okay. No, that's not. Let's try it with it. No. C sharp. Sounds like C sharp. So I'm going to keep like this, and then. But before I go to the and open the data file to undo the split of the line that I did before I started working on the pitch shifts here on the word how, I'll just run this at full speed so to make sure that everything sounds okay. Well, the pitches sound okay with me, but perhaps that the sync is not. That sounds a little bit better to me. It's a little bit on point. So let's open the data file and I just need to exit the song first. I'll go down to here. You can see that this is what it looks like when this is what it's supposed to look like when you split the line into two, and I just deleted that part and now it's back to one line. So if we go back into Jazz and have a look, go down to line 57 and we will find the word how here. Before we end this tutorial, I would like to do an example on how to copy and paste. So I will use this line here as an example, and I will both do the sync and the pitches now. So this I haven't done anything to this line apart from after the tapping, so I haven't edited anything here. I haven't improved the sync yet, so it sounds like the first comes a bit early. Oh. Might be last bit early, a bit late. Or early, sorry. I think that was a bit late. Yeah. And this it seems to be seamless. So I'm going to just leave one blank in between the pitch shifts or the uh-ohs in the beginning. And how long is the last tilde supposed to be? It's not that distinct. It's sort of like it fades out Hull's voice. I'm going to do it like this for now and just do the pitches now. And it goes up, so back to G sharp. I think this is it. At least let's leave it for that. Let's leave it like this for now and copy paste. So it's Control C as always when you're copying, and then we're going to paste it here at the last line. Now you can hear that all the pitches they come a bit early. So I press Control and A, and then I press Shift so that I can move the whole line. Oh, it was a bit late instead. Yeah, and we're going to check the pitches as well. Yeah, all the pitches are correct. And the last tilde, is it wide enough or too wide? Is it too long? It seems to be longer here than... somewhere around here. He it should the end of the tilde be the. Oh, sorry, no, clumsy. See if I can. Let's do it again. See where it ends. So just before here somewhere. Okay, do like that. I think I'm going to narrow it down a bit because and this I know from experience, if I just cut it exactly where he stops singing, when I run it in Vocalox, that I usually do afterwards for some sort of post production, adjusting for the length of the notes. I know that the singing experience will not mirror what you exactly hear here in Yes, and that most of the times, or almost always, the experience when singing is that if I leave it exact here, the feeling will be when doing the vocals, when I'm singing in Vocalox, that the note, the word has been a bit too long. So that's why I narrowed it down from 60 to 58 here, because then it would give a better singing experience. Like it will feel more authentic inside the game. I won't go into that now. I think this was the last exercise, and if you want to have a look at the final result, I will upload this song eventually at usdb.animax.de, the original database. If I remember correctly, set up by the original developers of Ultrastar Deluxe. I think that it's good if you upload it at USDB. I daily recommend that, not only because it's the original database, but more like it's the closest to an archive we as a community probably will ever have. And I don't advise against uploading at the other sites. Please do. The more the merrier. I really think so. But please upload at USDB as well. And that's it, guys. Cheers.